Lubricate the inside of the hose and outside of the shank. Dixon recommends their coupling lubricant found in the current Dixon price list. Use of a spray bottle puts the lubricant right where it's needed. The coupling can be inserted manually using a rubber mallet or a block of wood and a heavy mallet. In this illustration, a coupling inserter is being employed, which can also be found in the DPL. The coupling inserter is more efficient, especially when large bore hoses are used. A mechanical coupling inserter poses less risk of damage to the hose and the installer than manual installation. Set the torque wrench to the proper torque value for the boss clamp being installed. These torque values can be found on the boss clamp selection page of the current Dixon price list. Slide the clamp up the hose so that the clamp's gripping fingers are between the collar and the hex or wing nut of the stem. A critical part to the proper installation of any boss clamp is that the bolts be started properly. By that, we mean equally. Tighten all 4 bolts by hand until there is an equal amount of thread showing past each nut. It is very important that all bolts be hand tightened the same. Starting them off equally will help ensure that they finish equally. If by chance your boss clamp is missing a bolt, please contact Dixon for replacement bolts. Bolts found in a hardware store are not the same grade or quality as those supplied with the boss clamp and are never to be used. All bolts must be good and snug before using the torque wrench. The bolts must be tightened in a specific sequence, and that sequence is as follows. Start with a back bolt, 1 full turn. As you can see here, 4 quarter turns are used. Cross over to the other side of the clamp to the front bolt, 1 full turn. Now moving to the opposite side of the bolts just tightened, snug these bolts by hand if needed. Beginning with the back bolt, 1 full turn. Crossing over to the other side of the clamp to the front bolt, 1 full turn. Again, notice that 4 quarter turns are used to make 1 full turn. Continue this crisscross pattern, moving side to side until all 4 bolts are tightened to the recommended torque. If you notice the bolts bending while they're being tightened, don't become alarmed. The bolts are designed to bend. This action allows the clamp to conform to the circumference of the hose. By the way, the torque values found in the Dixon price list for boss clamps are for dry bolts. Any type of lubricant on the bolts will adversely affect the performance of the clamp and could possibly result in the assembly failing. Tightening the bolts to the recommended torque value is necessary to the proper performance of any boss clamp assembly. If the bolts are not tight enough, leakage or separation of components may occur. If they are too tight, it is possible to damage the bolts, damage the clamp body, damage the hose, or all the above. This type of damage can result in leakage at or near the clamp, or deterioration of the clamp to the point it can no longer function properly. That clicking sound is telling the installer that the bolt torque is at the level set on the wrench. All 4 bolts must be tightened to the recommended torque value. Remove the assembly from the vise. Inspect both sides of the clamp for proper clearance and interlock. Use procedure 3000 as your guide for this.
Dixon, the right connection.